So the T-bar seals on these Mark II MR2s are known to perish over time and eventually start leaking. There's a few different ways you can fix this as a short-term solution, but eventually the best thing is just to replace the seal. So in this video I'm going to show you how to remove an old leaky T-bar seal. Now the method in Toyota's official service manual for doing this requires a lot of things that are really not necessary, such as removing the entire headlining. So I'm going to show you a few little shortcuts that make this a bit easier. First up, you need to remove this A-pillar trim, and if you're working on the passenger side, you're first going to need to undo this handle here. Slide this top cover back and then pull it down, and that just flaps loose, and then you can just slide it over the handle to get it out of the way. Now you need to loosen this 10mm bolt. And the whole thing comes free. Now it's the same on the bottom. Slide that back. There we go. There it is. Handle is free. Next up, you need to pry out this small receptacle for the T-bar locking pin thing. It's probably got a name, don't know what it is. Now, starting at the top corner, pull this whole thing down and just give it a bit of force. It's held in with plastic clips. Now you don't need to pull this trim piece right off, you just need access to these two bolts underneath. So now we undo these two bolts, 10mm as always, and you can now remove this metal plate. So now we're finally coming topside, and we need to remove this wind deflector here, which has these two screws underneath. Next up, remove these two screws from the top of the T-bar. You should now be able to start lifting the seal off. Clips might need a bit of encouragement. There we go. When you're pulling the seal off, pay attention to anywhere where there's some glue, as you're going to want to reapply that when you put your new seal in. Where the seal meets the bottom of the A-pillar, there are these two little rubber clips, and you're going to want to try and pull both of them out. Then be able to start pulling the seal up from the bottom of the A-pillar, bearing in mind it's glued in quite heavily, so it will take some force. So now the front of the T-bar seal is only held in at this top corner where we undid those bolts. There we go. Next up, I want to remove this B-pillar trim here. The first thing you need to do is open up the secret cubby hole, drug hole, speaker hole, whatever you have in your car. Just lifts, and now, like everything in this car, this panel is just held in by some plastic clips. Ta-da! Right, making progress. Next, got to remove this seatbelt top mounting, which reveals a 14mm bolt, our first non-10mm bolt on this whole process. Undo the 14mm bolt. It'll be tight because this is a pretty important bolt. Remember, when you put this all back together, this bolt will have a torque spec. I'll put it on the screen because I don't know off the top of my head. Before you completely remove this bolt, it's important to know, don't let the seatbelt wind all the way down into the inertia reel. Otherwise it gets really hard to unwind it. Always try and keep a good length out. What I like to do is, once I've removed this, clip this to somewhere else in the car or somehow attach it to the car so it won't wind all the way in. Right, not much left now. Got to remove this screw here. Oh, it's a tight one. There we go. It's really hard to do this kind of stuff with one hand while filming. Unfortunately, my partner in crime is at work today. And then also this screw here. And then, like you did at the front, prise out this little receiving hole thingy. And now you should be able to pull this trim piece free, revealing the two nuts underneath, or bolts, I can't remember, one of the two. Now you undo those two 10mm bolts. Remove the metal bracket. Might have a bit of rubber glue holding it in place. Back outside the car now, and at the very bottom of where this rubber seal is still attached, there are another two of these little plastic plugs that you need to pry out. One. My tool is slightly too big. Two. Can now pull this off. As always, it'll be glued in, so just give it a bit of force. And finally, pull it out from the corner. Freedom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you remove a T-bar seal. So there we have it. Hopefully that will save you some time over the Toyota method, which requires removing a whole lot more trim, including the entire headlining, which you just don't need to do. We don't actually have our new seals yet because first we want to clean up some rust and repaint. So we're not going to be reinstalling the seals in this video, but largely installation is the reverse of removal. Just make sure you apply some new glue. But we will be making an installation video once we do that. Thanks for watching. Focus, you fuck.